Hey folks, how's it going? There are a few options when it comes to peel and place aftermarket grips, and I have a few of those today. I was going to test these just on my own time, but I figured some of you out there on the interwebs might have the same questions that I did and want to see how they compare against each other. So I'm making a video on it. These can be placed on a variety of different objects, whatever you are looking to get more grip out of. So since they can be placed on a variety of different things, I'm just going to use a piece of PVC as my test piece. Test piece was thoroughly degreased with acetone and rubbing alcohol per the manufacturer's installation instructions. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the grips that'll actually be testing and give some of my initial thoughts. So from Talon Grips, we have rubber moss, rubber black. Those are the same, just different colors. Pro and Granulate. So with rubber moss and rubber black, and I'll zoom in here to give you a nice look at the texture. Rubber moss and rubber black are, like I said, the exact same grip, just different colors. And they do add, as you can see, some texture versus an absolutely smooth PVC. Pressing on it, rubbing my thumb up against it, there definitely is more grip. To grab it and twist on it, yeah, it gives you more. Many things that are handled frequently, though, often come with some sort of grip already on them from the factory, whether that's like knobs, ridges, stippling, anything like that. This is if you just need a mild enhancement of grip from an absolutely smooth surface, in my opinion. Next up is Pro, and Talon Grips says that Pro is their most advanced and versatile grip, and it feels pretty nice. There's definitely more grip than the rubber. They say it's made of high friction rubber particles, so all of this grittiness that you see is like plastic rubber particles, which is nice. It gives you a fairly grippy surface without tearing you up like Granulate. Granulate from Talon Grips is very grippy, and that's because it's pretty much just straight up, I'd say, 120 grit sandpaper. If you want to know what Granulate feels like, go out to your garage, your shed, even to a home improvement store, and just rub your thumb, your hand on some 120 grit sandpaper. That's what Granulate feels like. It's very grippy, which is nice. I like very grippy things, but for prolonged use on hands, on skin, against clothing, anything like that, for an extended period of time, it's gonna tear you up. Whatever it's up against, routine friction is gonna tear you up. And we are comparing that to skate tape, grip tape that goes on skateboards. Mob grip is fairly common. Find it in any skate shop. I have black and clear. Compared to the Granulate, it's right around the same grit, I would say. It might be a little less grit. So if this is about 120 grit, I'd say the skate tape is anywhere from 100, 110, up to 120 grit. I have two colors. I had the black and the clear. The clear, as you can see, the writing on there, on the actual PVC, you can see through it. When it's applied on a dark surface, it just kind of appears white. And I'll give you some zoom here so you can see. Maybe get both of those in there, compare them. So yeah, the Granulate and the skate tapes are virtually just 120 grit sandpaper. The benefit of Talon Grips is that they are specifically cut to certain shapes that make application easier, more seamless, if you will, to put on tools, to put on firearms, to put on whatever you want to put it on. Skateboard tape per, let's say like per cubic inch though, is way cheaper. A whole sheet, which would cover a skateboard of this Mob Grip Black, was $5.95. You can go to Talon Grips, their website, look at different prices for different tools, different firearms. They do sell blank or just generic sheets if you want to do some custom work. But yeah, there's a price difference versus actually being conveniently cut to whatever you're going to put it on. The other two grips that I want to test and compare is Raid Tape, Goon Tape, or Goon Tape Raid Tape. I might have written that backwards. And Renfrew Pro Hockey Tape. There's debate online on whether Goon Tape is just rebranded hockey tape. And right off the bat, or I should probably say stick, since we're talking hockey tape. Right off the stick, Raid Tape feels incredibly similar to hockey tape. Hockey tape has a little more grip. It feels a little more tacky, but that tackiness doesn't come off on your hands. Whereas Goon Tape is fairly smooth, but it's got grip. It's definitely more grippy than smooth PVC pipe. But speaking of rebranding, something I might add to the debate online, here is the NHL logo, the National Hockey League, which a lot of players use Renfrew Pro Hockey Tape on their sticks, versus Goon Tape's logo. And I find that kind of interesting, kind of comical maybe. I don't know what to make of that, but you can make of that what you will. That's just something to add to the debate. A roll of Goon Tape comes in black and gray, currently on their website, at $7.99 per roll. Renfrew Pro Hockey Tape comes in pretty much every color you could want. It also comes in different patterns and different hockey teams, usually running about $3 to $4.99 per roll. Zoom in, here's the Renfrew Pro Hockey Tape. And Goon Tape. Sweet, now I've got my test piece. I've got the grips I want to test, and I'll run them through the gauntlet now. I'll try to simulate some normal conditions. I'll also try to simulate some very adverse conditions to see how they compare. And you got to keep in mind, these are peel in place, right? They come in rolls, they come on sticker sheets. They're not meant to last on whatever you put them on forever. If they get ripped, if they get dinged up or scratched, or they start peeling, they're meant to be replaced. So a lot of these tests, I don't know, they might not be valid, because if one doesn't last, you just peel it off and put on a new one. but I just kind of want to see how they all compare with certain conditions. You might have had the same questions, and let's get to it. All right, so here's my first test for these grips. Hot, sweaty, salty day. And again, I apologize for the road noise, but I'm doing a couple things with this test. One, see how grippy they are when wet. Renfrew Pro, pretty grippy. Goon tape, pretty grippy. I'd say slightly less than Renfrew Pro, but still very good grip on there. Man, it's hot and sweaty out here. Mob Skate Clear. It's 150 grit sandpaper. It's very grippy. Mob Skate Black, same thing, very grippy. Granulate from Talon Grips. Very grippy. Talon Grips Pro. Very grippy. Compared to Granulate, I'd say it's about the same grippiness, but it doesn't feel like it's gonna like tear my skin off. Rubber, moss, and black. Actually pretty grippy, more grippy than I thought. I'm kind of surprised. But we all know what happens when you're out sweating. You've either got a gun holstered or have this on a tool. It's gonna rub up against stuff. So here's an old shirt sleeve. Happens to be a Dickies shirt. You know, whether you're walking, riding a bike, running, rucking, what have you, fabric's gonna wear up against it. But then you sit for a little bit and rest, get all sweaty, dripping sweat on there. Now you're back up to hiking. Running, lots of wear. So this is day one of this test. I'm gonna do this test for 3-4 days in a row. Just rubbing on these grips every which way to one, test their stickiness to the PVC, their adhesive, and also to see if the grip fills up with either dead skin cells off my hands. I might have blisters by the end of this couple days. Keep wearing all this off. Dead skin, fabric from the shirt. But I just wanted to give this one a full playthrough. Show you exactly what I'm going to be doing on these tests. Starting to get a little raw on my hands. And I'll probably just give you a shortened, condensed version from here on out. Just to highlight that I'm doing this test. So again, I'll probably do this 3 or 4 times every day. Once per day for about 3 or 4 days. But this probably simulates just
this right here probably simulates a month's worth of sweating and handling. Still, they're all still feeling pretty good as of the end of this test. So I'll run this a couple more times throughout the next few days and give you an update. And I'm just gonna let that air dry, just like that. All right, day 5. I don't know why I chose 5 days. Super arbitrary. My rag's getting pretty full of salt, as you can see the shirt sleeve, but these are getting real crusty as well. But day 5, same as before. Spray and rub for about 5 minutes, and after this test I'll let it sit again, and then we'll cut to some commentary. We'll talk about how it's doing so far and see what we're gonna do from there. Let that sit for one final day, and we'll talk about it. Okay, here we are after 5 days, 5 applications of the salt mixture to simulate a very hot, sweaty environment with rubbing on clothing. If we take a look at the material that I was using, this old shirt sleeve, has all of this crazy dust and salt falls out of it. It's pretty grimy, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how much time and wear and back and forth that simulates, but I mean, that simulates a good amount of wear on fabric in there. As you can tell, everything is very full of fabric and salt stains. The only ones that are not are the rubber moss and the rubber black from Talon Grips. Aside from the looks, if I were to just grab on and grip them right now in their current state, they are all, the Talon Grips I would say are all about the same as before, and they are in order of increasing grippiness from the rubber moss, rubber black, to the Pro, and then the Granulate and the skate tapes. So the Granulate and the skate tapes are about the same. All 3 of those across the board. They might be a little tiny bit finer grit than before, but they're still very grippy. The Pro has lost maybe a little bit, but still very grippy without feeling like it's going to tear you up like the Granulate. And I don't think there has been any change whatsoever in the rubber moss and rubber black. With the Raid Tape Goon Tape and the Renfrew Pro Hockey Tape, they definitely have less grip than before, being filled up with salt and all that, because these are much more absorbent with any sort of liquid than these are. Liquid's just going to eventually evaporate and dry off of these, but these soak it in, so there's probably a lot of salt mixture that has been soaked into the fibers on these. But I mean, again, if I were just grabbing for one of these, it's going to provide a more grippy surface than a smooth pipe or smooth tool, slick handgun, or any sort of firearm. So I think they have held up pretty well. As far as the tapes, the Renfrew Pro and the Ray Tape Goon Tape, just a slight bit of fraying off of these ones. Slight bit of fraying and just edges coming up, which if that were a problem, I mean, you could peel back a little bit, slice it, stick it back down. I am going to give these a rinse off with fresh water, but in keeping with testing of adverse conditions, it's not just going to be water from my sink. I'm gonna let Mother Nature rinse it off in the snow, and it's probably gonna freeze tonight, so we'll see how it does with that too. All right, just wanted to give you a look at it before I go give it a rinse off with clean tap water. Get all the gunk and grime out of it. It's late November right now. It's been sitting out here for coming up on 3 weeks. Longer than I had anticipated, but that's life. It's been snowed on. It's been rained on multiple times. It's been frozen and thawed pretty much every night for the last couple weeks. And so yeah, I'll go give it a nice clean rinse off and we'll take a look at it. All right, here it is after its nice sudsy bath. The shirt material is still kind of stuck in some of this grit in here. With a stiff nylon brush, like you can see on the Pro here, there's a line right here where all the fabric is in there versus not. You can go through and brush that out of there. Tried it on the Granulate and the skate grip tapes. Doesn't work quite as well, but they're still pretty grippy. In regards to grippiness, the rubber moss and rubber black hasn't changed. It's still just as grippy as it was through the entire process. Pro, I'd say it's lost just a touch. I assume in all of the friction of the test, little flecks of the rubber and plastic material on there have come off, but still all that you would probably need in a grip. My hand doesn't really want to slip at all on that. There is a video, I'll put a screenshot or a link to it, of some very heavy use with, I believe it's your Talon Grip Pro on a duty gun that a guy had used. Granulate, skate tape, black and clear. I wouldn't say anything has really changed. It's smoother, like the top
section is smoother, but it's still just as grippy, if that makes sense. So it's, you know, if there was all of these peaks with the grit in there, it's kind of like they've been evened out, but it's still, so you're smooth across the top, but it's still grippy. I don't know, that probably doesn't make sense, but yeah, those are all still very grippy. The Raid Tape, Goon Tape, and the Renfrew Pro Hockey Tape, after the sudsy bath, they have lost a lot of grip. They're very slick, not providing a whole lot of texture or grippiness at all. Let's jump into removal. See how easy these are to remove, what kind of residue is left over. All right, went over with the heat gun. And I would assume, kind of based on that link or that other video of the very heavily used Pro, the more worn down they are, and the more that the integrity of the actual material is compromised. So if there's like nicks out of it, if it's worn very thin, it's not going to remove as good. I feel like those are starting to cool down a little bit. That came off pretty easy, so I want to try a side that's cooled down. With the Granulate and or skate tapes, nice little screwdriver helps, unless you really want to file your nails down. But I want to do this cold side as well. Just enough to get an edge to grab on there. All right, so those all came off decent. It's hard to see. Oh, there we go. Get some light difference. The residue that was left over. The one that peeled the best was the Skate Mob Grip Tape Black, both on the part that I heated up more and the part that had cooled off a little bit. Just a little line on the edge there. You can see that residue still on there. And we will come back with cleanup. But now the front was heated up. When I say the front, I mean by the where I have writing. Raid tape, Goon tape definitely had less residue all the way around. The Renfrew Pro Hockey Tape, pretty good, except for that last little strip right there. Let's move to some cleanup. Most of the stuff I see online, just rubbing alcohol and a little rag. Give you another view of the residue that's on there. So it's wanting to come off in some places. Other places where it's more built up, it's just kind of moving it around. Gotta press pretty hard. It's really built up right here. I'm gonna see what some heat does. Yeah, a little bit of heat loosens it up pretty good. You can grab some of that big stuff off of there, rub it off, and go back in with rubbing alcohol. Yeah, taking it right off. So it just looks like some rubbing alcohol, some friction, if need be, a little heat, and comes right off. Don't pay attention to just underneath. Tried to stay away because I didn't want to rub all my place names away, but there's a line there that is pretty free of the adhesive that was on there. Came off pretty easy. So in the middle of the Raid tape, Goon tape, there isn't really anything there. The only thing that is there is the edge line. And a little friction with rubbing alcohol appears to be coming off. Quite easy. The Renfrew Pro Hockey Tape with some of its gunk that it left over. It's taken quite a bit of pressure. I'm going to try a little bit of heat. Interesting. It's wanting to smear around a little bit. What? It is coming off. Came off. Just took a little more elbow grease, but they all come off fairly easy. Most difficult, Renfrew Pro Hockey Tape. All right. In conclusion, installation on all of them very easy. Talon Grips has a specific way that they would like you to do it. That literature comes with anything you buy from Talon Grips. I just did the same with skate tape as well. Installation very easy. Durability. Talon Grips they all did great. They retained, I'd say 95 to 100% of their grippiness through my tests. Skate tapes, also 95 to 100%. Like the rolled tapes, the Raid Tape, Goon Tape, and the Hockey Tape, they suffered a little bit. After all of my tests and washing, they were not anywhere near as grippy as they had started. But super easy to unwrap, rewrap with new, especially since they come in rolls. And they're fairly inexpensive. There are alternative options if you don't want to go the expensive route. It's not expensive, it's just more expensive than others. That being Talon Grips, more expensive than skate tapes. Raid Tape, Goon Tape, a little more expensive than Renfrew Pro Hockey Tape. Removal, very easy. Heat, a little bit of heat, alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and a rag. If it doesn't come off, just kind of repeat that process. The only one that gave me a little bit of an issue was Renfrew Pro Hockey Tape. They wanted to start to smear, but eventually that came off as well. Really what it comes down to is personal preference. How grippy do you want your surface, and what do you want it to look like, right? They all held up fairly well, especially for what they are. They are not meant to be a permanent grip solution. They're meant to be put on, used, removed, and repeat. I don't think you can ask for much more. All depends on how much grip you want. Hopefully this helped you to make a decision for what you want. Like I said in the beginning, I was just kind of doing this for myself, but I thought maybe some of you would have the same questions. If you like this video, if it helped you out, hit all the buttons, any of these things on screen. You probably know where to find them down below the video, links, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, if you like tinkering videos and tests like this, go ahead and check out this playlist. I've got a playlist on kind of tinkering and tests and all that. So that about does it. We'll see you on the next one.